Good afternoon, good morning. This is Mark Johnson from Loyalty 360. Hope everyone's happy, safe, and well. I want to welcome you to another edition of our Leaders in Customer Loyalty series. In this series, we have the privilege of speaking with leading brands about what they are seeing and hearing on the front lines of customer channel and brand loyalty. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Kimberley Gardiner. She's the Chief Marketing Officer of Tractor Supply. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. How are you, Mark?
Doing well, thank you very much. First off, for those who may not know Tractor Supply, there may be one or two people out there. Would love to know a little bit more about you, kind of your background and your current role at Tractor Supply.
Yeah, happy to. So prior to coming to Tractor Supply almost a year ago now, I spent about 20 years in automotive with brands like Toyota, Lexus, Mitsubishi, Kia, most recently Volkswagen. So a lot of different perspectives that I got from those brands. One thing I will say about myself is, I always say to my team, like I love marketing, not just automotive, but all marketing, because I find it something, if you are very much okay with change, which I am, then marketing is something that is never the same. Even we can say now week in and week out, let alone month in and month out and year over year. So I'm somebody that continues to love the craft of marketing and really enjoy it. And I love understanding what customers' needs and wants are and making that shift from automotive to Tractor Supply. Really fantastic organization, just such a fantastic culture, really lives its mission and values. And that was a huge driver for me personally. I find that I'm somebody that just, I work better and I really get more out of, not even a job, but a career, I should say, over time with brands that I really believe in. And that's been a throughput for me throughout my entire career. And I can definitely say that's the case here at Tractor Supply. So I joined the company, like I said, almost a year ago, July of 2022, to lead all of our marketing functions, including data analytics, loyalty, CRM, media, partnerships, creative, content strategy, which we're recently adding a group to help us with that, national and local store marketing activities, and then as well as our store promotional support.
Okay. Quick question. When you came over from automotive, obviously deep roots there. What was the maybe something that stood out as of a change for you, or something when you moved more to retail? Was there one thing? There are two things that may have been kind of completely different. Obviously, you were very flexible, being able to address that. But what was the biggest difference, or was there one?
I think one of the biggest differences is just given automotive and the product itself, it's something that you keep for a minimum if you're leasing a car for 2 to 3 years, but a lot of folks keep them for 5 to 10, even more years. And so when we talk about how do you understand customers' needs and wants, it's not only just that purchase and then that repeat coming back for things like service, but it's really potentially over someone's entire, lifetime. With many people buying vehicles over and over again with the same brand. So taking that customer lifetime value that was much more expansive, and then coming to retail, which by definition is a little bit more short term, right? Week over week, month over month. What do we need to do to drive the business? It's been a neat way for me to take that longer term thinking and use some of that into how do we nurture customer relationships over a longer period of time, which Tractor Supply, quite frankly, already does so well.
Okay, excellent. Tractor Supply. Yeah, no, I think that's great. That's it's a very unique perspective from the automotive industry, and I think also the automobile has the brand side too, but also has a dealer side. And I'm a big JD Power fan. I've met him a couple times, and his seminal book really talks about just the dissonance between the two. Right, it's that old agency conflict you had in business school. The brand on the automobile side has their perspective, the dealers have their perspective, and it kind of clashes where, at least with Tractor Supply, you're more aligned there, and you can kind of drive that brand strategy. And especially with all those roles rolling up to you, it sounds like that's kind of your focus for sure.
Yeah, and I think that coming again from auto, where you are all about influencing that customer to make that decision at a more of a national, like you said, a brand level, but you don't control that experience at the dealer level. So being able to now influence that experience and working with our merchants and working with different teams here at Tractor Supply, it's so satisfying to be able to say that we can actually help make that experience. It's already great, but we can make it even better. And that's really fulfilling as well. You'd asked earlier, though, about a fun fact about me. I actually do not watch TV, which might be surprising for some folks in marketing.
That at all, or just not that often?
Not at all. I watch some streaming services here and there on my laptop at home, but I have not really had a screen of any large proportion, and I don't watch TV at all.
That's good. Yeah, I watch a lot of movies. I don't watch much TV, but that's interesting. So that's the first one for that. You get the not watching TV award. So when you look at Tractor Supply, again, for someone who may not be familiar with Tractor Supply, can you give us a short history of the brand, what you guys do, how you do it, where you do it?
Absolutely. So the company was originally founded back in 1938 as a mail order catalog business. And then about a year later, opened up its first retail store in a little town called Minot, North Dakota in 1939. Since then, now Tractor Supply has been very, very passionate about making sure we serve the needs of those recreational farmers, ranchers, homeowners, gardeners, pet enthusiasts, and really all those folks out there who enjoy what we call life out here. Tractor Supply, it's funny, people ask me about the name Tractor Supply, and although we've sold tractors over the years and all the things for tractors, that's obviously changed. Now you can, I believe, get a few from us in terms of some mail order that you can do with one of our partners that we've got for tractors, but overall, really, we're the largest, I should say, rural lifestyle retailer in the U.S. with over 2,100 stores across 49 states. Very much a needs-based, essentials-based business, and we have now 52,000 team members. And one of the things I think that makes us so special is they're really known for what we call legendary customer treatment and really helping customers find what they're looking for. So lots of different things across the store. And it's always fun for me to talk to somebody who is familiar with Tractor Supply and says that they love it. And then folks that have heard the name, but not quite sure about it. And it's always a joy to be able to tell them a little bit more about the brand and invite them to come to the store. Absolutely.
Yeah. I love hearing these stories. And I think one thing that definitely resonates with you is the passion you have for the brand. I think you kind of mentioned that earlier, that definitely is already coming through in the interview. So it's great to hear. When you look at your loyalty program, the Neighbors Club at Tractor Supply, how does that program work? How do members engage with the program? And what are the benefits for the customer?
Yeah. So our Neighbors Club program is what I would call a shop, earn, and rewards-based program. We now have, as of Q1, 30 million members that are part of that Neighbors Club, and we've seen significant growth year over year over the past several years with that program. Rewards are essentially tiered based on spend. So we've got Neighbors and we've got Preferred, and then we've got Preferred Plus. So it's a tiered program. And the higher the tier, for example, with our Preferred Neighbors Club members, they earn more points for each dollar that they spend. And they're eligible for additional rewards like same-day delivery, trailer rentals, and several other things. So it really encourages folks to migrate up from that base program level, I should say, up to Preferred and then up to Preferred Plus. And then recently, also in the last couple of years or so, we've looked at a few other rewards that people get as part of the program, including those that are tied to the use of our Tractor Supply store card. And also those as part of our new co-branded credit card. So customers can accelerate their rewards as well as then earn points, not only at Tractor Supply, but at other retailers.
Okay, interesting. So it sounds like you made some adjustments to the program recently. How do you use insights from your customers to make those changes, right? The private label credit card program, maybe the partnership programs that you're rolling out that give your customers some engagement and potentially redemption options.
Absolutely. So we do a lot of feedback. We do a lot of listening. We capture a lot of customer comments. We do regular Neighbors Club surveys across those 30 million members that I mentioned before. So we're continuously improving and understanding how we could make the program even better and make future enhancements. The most recent of which we did back in 2021 in terms of really a wholesale review of the program. A common theme that we were hearing from our customers were lack of rewards and sometimes lack of transparency in terms of how many points do I have and what could those points get me and those kinds of things. So what we did is, I would say take it from a traditional sort of affinity program in the past to much more of a pure loyalty program that has a lot more rewards to it. And it's also something now that's tied to a better omnichannel experience, which is also something we heard from our customers. So They were looking for that omni-channel experience, wanted more visibility to their points across multiple shopping channels. So for example, how do we make sure we integrate the program into our mobile app and into our website and then into the store system? So those are now ways that you can check your points, see how much you shop for, see when your next reward is coming up, see what other benefits that you're eligible for and things like that. So it gives the customer a lot more visibility to where they are in terms of those rewards and things that they can look forward to with that next tier up when they get there.
That's great to hear. One of the things that we do, we have a membership community at Loyalty 360, and we meet and talk about different topics. And there's been a great deal of discussion around devaluing points, adding value, but most importantly, more clarity, as you mentioned, transparency with the program, because many customers don't feel that the program, they understand the program, understand the benefits, and many brands change the program quite frequently, so it makes it hard. It's like a moving 8-ball for them to understand kind of the value proposition to them. So the transparency piece, being able to more easily understand it, is a great addition to have for the program for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
When you look at customer loyalty, what does customer loyalty mean to you, to Tractor Supply, and the customers you serve?
Customer loyalty, I would say for us, and I've heard some of your other interviews as well when they answered this question, and it feels like I would say the same thing in terms of it's absolutely essential. It's fundamental to how we do our business and how we think about our business. I would say it's been a huge driver of the success that we've seen over the last few decades, several decades, I should say. As customers rely on Tractor Supply for those essential needs, people are coming in for what we call our Q-based items, things that are consumables and usables, essentials and edibles for their pets, for their animals, for really their way of life. And that means that, week in and week out, month in and month out, they're coming in, they trust Tractor Supply, they trust our team members. They're looking for that consistency, for that value, the quality of the assortment that we have, reliability that we're known for. And a couple of just quick notes on loyalty and how we think about that and how that comes to life. I often, when I go into stores and our team goes into stores and talk to our team members, talk to our customers, they refer to their Tractor Supply as, when I come to my Tractor Supply, or let me tell you about my Tractor Supply. I think that's a real testament to how loyalty really isn't just a label. It's something that I think our customers really feel, something that we need to continuously earn. We also talk about how many of our team members were former customers. It's nice to hear team members talk about, I used to shop here at Tractor Supply and I loved it so much that I wanted to join the team and be part of the brand itself. So I think that's also another way that we think about loyalty, is how do we even continue bringing back folks that have big customers and now they want to be part of our team and part of the brand. It's just ongoing.
Okay. When you look at your customers, diverse as they may be, is there a standard, maybe customer characteristic, a key trait that is consistent across them? It sounds like passion may be kind of a consistent trait they have for the different areas that you serve. Is there a standard trait?
Yeah, you're 100% right, Mark, in terms of that passion for that rural outdoor life out here lifestyle. We describe our customers as friendly, as neighborly, someone that you'd love to have as your next door neighbor. They're hardworking, very genuine, and very resourceful. Many of our core customers have recreational farms and ranches. They've got animals and pets, and they're really about self-sufficiency and that do-it-yourself lifestyle. And now our emerging customers, which we've seen grow over the last few years, especially during COVID and following COVID, they really tend to shop for us for a whole basket of different things across the store. So not only things that I mentioned, but also clothing, pet and food supplies, lawn and garden, decor, and things like that. So it's a really, I can say this, I know I'm biased, but it's a really fantastic group of customers that we have. And they all seem to be very proud, I think, of the things that they do, the things that they get from our stores, and just the lifestyle that they lead. It's just really neat.
Okay. And when you look at your customers, one of the talking points we have with our members is how customers are changing, how they're evolving, their attention, their interests, whatever it may be. How did your customers change, maybe going into COVID, coming out of COVID, and how did you adapt and continue to adapt that customer change?
No, great question. And I think, we saw across the board, right, in this country, COVID really brought a migration of folks many folks outside of urban centers to ex-urban areas outside of those major city centers, to more rural areas. And we've seen that growth across multiple customer segments, especially millennials, which is fantastic to see. Also more women customers and more diverse customers. So that migration of location also came with a migration of mindset, I would say, and more people feeling like they just want to spend their time pursuing things that are important to them and their family. That means, caring for their home and their land differently and really appreciating that time outdoors. So I would also add that our customers across all cohorts are looking for more flexibility in how they shop and they buy. COVID obviously was a huge factor in that. They want more services 24/7, things that are at the ready. So we made some really nice enhancements in terms of our e-com business, our buy online, pick up in store, and delivery services to help meet those changing needs that were, I would say, really precipitated by COVID.
Okay. You touched on a little bit about partnerships. It's a big area of interest for a number of brands. As you know, it sounds like it's a huge area of interest or focus for Tractor Supply. How does Tractor Supply typically approach partnerships? And are there key partnerships you have in place today? And how did those come about?
Sure. So many of our partnerships, I would say, stem from interests that people pursue in our stores, right? So we talked about, that rural kind of based lifestyle, outdoor living, do it yourself, self-sufficiency, things like that. So those themes are really a nice filter, I would say, for how we think about partnerships across the board. From a marketing perspective, we have a number of partnerships right now, in addition to vendors that we work with in the store, brands like Purina and Carhartt and Cargill, et cetera. Also things like Yellowstone and that franchise with Paramount, which has been really, really a strong success for us. And we've been with them the last couple of years, and it's been great to see that franchise grow. And I think folks that watch that program, it's a really nice overlay with the customer set that I mentioned earlier. Same thing with professional bull riding. We have a partnership with them. We've got a new partnership now that we've just launched recently with what we're calling our Tractor Supply Emerging Artist Program. That we're working with Lainey Wilson on. She's a huge up and coming, or not even up and coming now. She's very much her star is on the rise and going great places. So she's part of that program. We've got some mentors that are part of it that are really excited to help other artists in country really get discovered and help them with their craft. So those are all interests that overlay nicely with our customer base and emerging customers as well. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our Tractor Supply Foundation as well, in terms of other ways that we bring in partnerships to Neighbors Club and get that Neighbors Club engagement up with that loyal base. Things like our support of the Future Farmers Association, which we've been working with for many, many years now, giving grants, doing scholarships with that group. It's been fantastic for us and a great engagement for our customer base. And same thing with 4-H, where we've raised money with them with our Paper Clover fundraising campaign. So those are meaningful ways that we can engage with our Neighbors Club members, building up that loyalty, giving them some touch points to come back in the store. We also do a lot of work with our veterans programs. So that's another customer base that's really important to us. And we want to not only show them that we've got the right assortment, we want to meet their lifestyle needs, but we also care about the things that they care about and the communities that we all care about as well.
So you mentioned your foundation working with the veterans, and corporate social responsibility is another one of those topics that very important to brands. But brands either do it well or exceptionally well, like your organization, and have it truly integrated within what the brand is. But a lot of brands are like, oh, we need to have a CSR initiative. Well, we're a shoe store. Maybe we'll just bring in the shoes, right? And then we're going to talk about it, right? So it's not truly genuine. And then you have people like you guys, what you're doing with the Veterans Association, the foundation, it kind of sits behind the scenes. But when you kind of peel back the layers of the onion, it's very important and ingrained within the culture of the organization. Even something like PetSmart, right? PetSmart, they've had almost 7 million pets they've had adopted. So going back 20 plus years. But at other people like, oh, we need to do it. Other one's doing it. It's very important to millennials. We'll just craft something and market it out. As it's such a part of your fabric, how did it start? How do you sustain that? How do you build that? Because that's very unique.
I think that with such a strong focus on our mission and values, Tractor Supply is an organization that we're very committed to making sure that not only that we live those mission and values internally, right? We work hard, we have fun, we make money. We're all about communication and making sure that we are high on teamwork, take the initiative, accountability, all the things that make the company what it is. That's a nice natural segue into how do we support the communities in the way that would live up to those missions and and those values. And so when we talk about supporting veterans, we talk about supporting future farmers and young people that want to get into agriculture, and how do we continuously build up and sustain that way of life that we call life out here. Those are all fundamental things to make sure that we continue to deliver the mission and values just going forward. So those things are all interconnected and intertwined with our team members, with our customers, with who we are as an organization. And it's not just for us about putting those things up on a wall. We honestly live them every day, both here at our store support center, but also in the stores. So I think when you feel that mission and value come to life, I think I would say to other organizations as well, that's a great place to start. To your point, this shouldn't be a marketing initiative. This should be something that, how do you support the things that are important to you as an organization? What mission are you on, and what values do you want to show to your customers? And what are those things that are important to your customers that you want to help support in the community?
Okay, excellent. What is the biggest challenge you face in your role? What kind of keeps you up at night being the chief marketing officer at Tractor Supply?
I think that much like we just talked about, as we think about our culture, as we think about our mission and values, that is something that as a marketer is so important in terms of how I answer the question to a new customer, potential customer, why Tractor Supply, right? Why should I look at Tractor Supply? Why should I shop there? What makes people want to be part of that Tractor Supply brand, if you will? And so much of those things are tied back to the culture that we have. And so how do we keep that culture? How do we nurture those mission and values and continue to do that over time like we've always done? But still, we were under a lot of, aspirations in terms of growing the size and the scale of the organization and the footprint that we have. So how do you keep that things that are special about the brand at the same time, manage the growth that you have, and how do you scale that to make sure that we really protect for that culture? Because I think it is something that makes us so unique and special. And it's part of a huge story that I want to continue to tell in terms of our marketing messaging.
Okay, excellent. And when you look at other programs that you may be loyal to, programs you admire, are there a couple programs that you think do a good job from a customer loyalty perspective? And what may you like about that they're offering?
There's a couple in particular. I always like the tried and true airline frequent flyer programs because they've been around for so long, and it's been interesting to see them evolve and pivot over time. I like to talk about United because I've been part of their Mileage Plus program now for over 25 years. So talk about longevity with loyalty. That's quite a long time. And I also look at, what makes me loyal to them. It's not necessarily their flights. It's not necessarily the planes that they fly. It's not necessarily the time scales or timing and things like that. Because sometimes I say, well, I may have to have an extra layover. It may not be in a convenient time for me. The fare might be a little bit more expensive than someone else, but I will still go out of my way to fly United because I'm at that top tier level. And I have been for a long time. So I appreciate those benefits. And it's something that is important enough to me in terms of time saving, which is the number one thing why I keep with them. That pre-boarding that I can get through United is worth gold. So it's something that if you can keep that loyalty, even in that case, despite sometimes it's not as convenient or it costs you a little bit more, I think that's also a testament to a really strong loyalty program over time.
Okay, excellent. And if you could ask someone, another CMO, and maybe in a different industry, a question about their customer loyalty approach or customer experience approach, what would that question be?
As we're trying to look at how do we migrate more of those base tier customers of Neighbors Club into the preferred Neighbors Club and then preferred plus, I'd just be curious more about what's their migration strategy. What have they found over time that's worked really well in terms of graduating folks from one level to the next? Because much like the United example that I gave, our preferred plus members, they have some really great benefits to that program. And we see that they're some of our most engaged customers by far. So I think we'd all like as marketers to be able to graduate folks to, if we have a tiered program as we do, how do you migrate them? How do you get them from one level to the next to then obviously spend a little bit more with you and spend more time in your stores and online with you?
Okay. And then the last question I have, kind of self-serve. What can Loyalty 360 do to help you and your team in your customer loyalty journey?
So I think Loyalty 360 could help us in terms of benchmarking other companies. I'm somebody that I believe in no matter what industry I'm in. I always want to learn from other industries and see what they're doing that might help us balance the needs of our diverse customer base across different customer cohorts. So how are you seeing other industries, other companies manage their loyalty program successfully, not only for maybe their core customers, but their emerging customers, those customers that they're growing with over time, like for us, those millennial and Gen Z customers. So how do you create a program that's balanced in terms of what each of those cohorts are looking for, which might be a little bit different depending on where you're coming from?
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Kimberly, for taking the time to talk to us today. It was great to get to know a little bit about you. Interesting that you're not a TV watcher, which is great. I'm kind of a little envious of that, which is good. And looking forward to hearing more about Tractor Supply and your very compelling customer loyalty program going forward.
Well, thank you, Mark. It's been a real pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time to listen today. Make sure you join us back for another edition of our Leaders in Customer Loyalty series soon. Have a wonderful day.